So we've all heard that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Well, I learned a long time ago the way to a woman's heart is through my meatballs. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make some meatballs from scratch. And we're going to make some fresh tomato sauce with some San Marzano tomatoes. But then we're going to go back to the way we used to do when I was a kid. When I used to go to Ozone Park and cook with my big grandmother on Sundays. While we were making the sauce and meatballs and waiting for the meal to be complete, we start frying some meatballs and we make a beautiful meatball sandwich with just some bread and some butter. So today, to revisit that and to give me some sort of nostalgia, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make it a little sexier. We're going to make a compound butter instead of just regular butter with some fresh parsley and basil and some garlic and sauteed shallot. And then we're going to use some buffalo mozzarella and some beautiful crusty Italian bread. So let's get started. So the secret to any great meats or balls is fat. Fat is flavor, so it's very important when you choose the meat that you get a nice ratio. Today we're going to use 85-15 on the beef, and we're going to use 80-20 on the pork. So right here we got a pound of each. We got a pound of beef and a pound of pork. And what we're going to do now is just go ahead and mix some ingredients. First thing we're going to do is get the jewelry off. It's always very important whenever you're working with meat or your hands to get that stuff off right away. So the ingredients we're going to use today, very simple but very flavorful stuff, okay? We're going to start with some crushed red pepper, about a tablespoon or a very healthy pinch, okay? And then some oregano, same thing, a nice healthy pinch. Salt, kosher salt, great, nice and coarse, maybe 2 healthy pinches, just like 2 tablespoons of salt. And then some crushed black pepper. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to use a whole cup of Parmigiano Reggiano. Parmigiano Reggiano is not just Parmesan cheese, but it has a little more of a bite, and it's a little saltier, and we're going to make these meatballs nice and cheesy. That's a big part of this meatball. So we're using a whole cup. It seems like a lot, but it's really not. So we're going to add 3 eggs to this. And again, the eggs are a binder, and you need that to keep the meatballs moist. It's going to help kind of almost make like a quiche inside the meatball. We're going to use a few other ingredients that are going to help keep this meatball extremely moist and extremely flavorful. One of those ingredients are something that I like to do. A lot of people don't. They put fresh garlic in. Fresh garlic's great, but if you don't cook it right, sometimes you get a piece of raw garlic, and it's just not as pleasant as you want to be. So what I do is I take 4 shallots, and I saute them with some garlic, olive oil, salt, and pepper. And I'm going to put that right into the mix. So that means each bite that you get of a meatball is going to have some nice sauteed shallot and garlic inside the meatball. Another ingredient that I like to use that nobody really uses, and it's something that, you know, it's a kind of a twist that we've got over the years, is some pine nuts, some toasted pine nuts. Extremely flavorful, and the texture when you bite into a nice, soft, juicy meatball to have a little bit of crunch is fantastic. Changes the whole experience. Just got that. Then we need some panko. Panko breadcrumbs. Okay, we're making Italian meatballs. We're using Japanese breadcrumbs. Kill me. What do you want me to tell you? It is what it is. They're the best breadcrumbs. But you could take some Italian bread, toast it, wait 2 days, and cut it up. Why do that? And the Italian seasoned breadcrumbs, the 4 seasoned, those are great too. But panko, nice. It's flavorful, crispy. So we're going to go ahead and add those, and that's going to help bind the meatball as well. My favorite one out of the whole experience is this: ricotta cheese. I know I say ricotta cheese. Most people say ricotta or manicotti. That's because when we came over from Ellis Island and we landed here, I had a name like Giuseppe Sangiovese, and they told me your name is Joe Sangio. Now go build all our bridges in our churches and come back, okay? We're using ricotta cheese. About 1 cup of ricotta cheese is going to make it extremely moist and flavorful like no other meatball you've ever had. Trust me. Now the best part, we mix. So we have most of our ingredients mixed in, and now we're going to add some fresh basil and parsley. And it's important to add some fresh herbs, and they just add a great complexity to the meatball. And it can be all about rounding out flavors, different flavors, layering flavors. So when you're chopping basil, the simplest way to do it is to take a bunch of leaves, and we're going to make a chiffonade. Just roll them up to a little bit of a ball. We're going to make a chiffonade, and then we'll go ahead and dice it. Look at that cut. Nice little small dice. It goes right into the bowl. We want to do some parsley. The parsley, you know, people like to pull the leaves off. I like the stems as well. It's a nice chunk, about a cup and a half. That's about a cup, I think so. A little bit more. A nice rough chop. All right, so we got our parsley chopped, ready to go. I'm gonna get it off the board into the bowl. This thing is the best. Bench scraper. Use this when I'm making my dough, my fresh pasta, but it's great for picking up stuff off your cutting board. All right, so we're good. Now the fun part. We're gonna mix. God's best tools, your hands. I use my hands for a lot of things. A lot of times they're for things that are moist, like the meatballs. You know what I mean? So we're gonna start playing around. This is a lot of fun. I usually like to put on a little music. Sometimes I like to do this when no one's around, you know, by myself, alone. You know, not that I like playing with balls or anything, but you know, this is fun. It feels great. So you want to mix everything, you want to get it incorporated really nice and well. And that whole thing about overworking meat, not true. I mean, if you have the right ingredients, you want to incorporate them right so every flavor, every bite is the same. So mixing it is not going to make it tough. That's not a tough meatball. A tough meatball is bad ingredients. Bad. You need good meat for good balls, and that's what we have here. We got good meat, good pork, good beef, good fat. So we're about to roll our meatballs, but sometimes you just don't feel like your balls have enough. And I happen to glance over and see a beautiful lemon that I have, and I like to add this sometimes, not all the time, depends what kind of mood I'm in. If my girlfriend's been breaking my balls all day long, I sometimes like to change things up and zest it up a little bit, and this lemon is going to do that. It's going to really bring out every flavor. Remember, fat is flavor and acid is life. Acid brings life to all your food. So lemon at the end, vinegar, it always makes it pop. It just accentuates the flavors that are in there, but it won't taste lemony. So we'll zest the whole lemon, okay? It's going to be fantastic. Meatballs, it's very important to have a cookie sheet or something, a plate lined up with either parchment paper or some foil. And another good secret, or just a tip, is some olive oil, because it's going to stick to your hand a little bit. You get that kind of crazy looking hands. So you just go ahead and dip a little bit of olive oil, a little in your hand, and just make meatballs. Some people like to use an ice cream scooper because they want a perfect meatball, the perfect size. We're not selling these things. This is for our family. I like imperfection. I like them nice and rustic. Different flavors, different sizes. So we're going to make about a probably 4-ounce meatball. Just want to move it around your hand nice and loose until it comes together, and then you're done. Go back in for the next one, and that's pretty much it. So we're back, and we've got our last meatball. This one's a little bit bigger than the rest, sometimes a little bit smaller, but that meatball is going to be for me, so who cares? It doesn't matter. I hope you follow me along with the ingredients so far in the instructions, because I've been told that sometimes I talk like I have meatballs in my mouth. But I'm trying very hard to speak slowly so you get all the instructions correctly, and you have beautiful meatballs, like my meatballs. They're beautiful. You should see them. But we have to be friends on Facebook first, so let me know. Okay. And now we're going to move on to frying our meatballs. And again, frying, you could take these meatballs right now, put them in a roasting pan and bake them in an oven. They come out great and they'll be very tasty. Or you could throw them right in a sauce and braise them. I like to get that crispy texture, you know, that moist, succulent middle. I mean, boom chicka bum bum, you know what I'm saying? It's just, there's something about that. We all like that. We know what we're talking about. So kind of that's important. But we're going to fry these in canola oil today. You can use vegetable oil. You can use peanut oil. Some of the oils you do not want to use, you do not want to use extra virgin olive oil for this. Of course, it has a high smoke point, just like butter, and it'll burn, and it just won't be right for what we're doing here. Plus, we want to fry at a medium heat and get enough in the pan so we get enough contact. So we're frying all sides equally, get a nice brown crust, and then we're going to remove them from the sauce. The first couple for our sandwiches, and then the last are going right into the sauce. We got all our tomatoes crushed, and then we took the juice that we rendered off and we poured it right back in. So that's going to be the base for our sauce. We're going to start with now, I got a pan with some olive oil for sauteing. Olive oil is when you want to saute garlic and onions and shallots. That's what you want to use, not vegetable or canola oil. You want the flavor from the virgin olive oil. I'm going to add some fresh garlic to this. If you're with somebody that doesn't like garlic the way it smells on you, or they don't want to eat it, don't be with them. Okay, it's very simple, because I hang out with people that like garlic, that eat garlic, so I'm not offended by their breath, they're not offended by my breath, and we're all very happy. Until we get home and fight about somebody I was staring at a restaurant or something, but that's a whole different topic. So we're going to start with this first. We're going to take some garlic and 1 chopped onion. We're going to go up to the frying pan and start sauteing this and start our base. So we got our oil nice and hot, and the first thing we want to do is add the onions. You don't want to add that garlic too early. We talked about this last week. We made that pasta dish. It'll get bitter and burnt. So we're going to go ahead and add the onions. A beautiful, nice sizzle. Just trying to get the wooden spoon out. To that onion, we're going to add a pinch of salt. Nice healthy pinch of kosher salt. So we got all that sweetness of the onions. So we want to add some fresh crushed black pepper. It's my favorite thing that goes with sauteed onions. Black pepper and onions they're just a fantastic combination. So I like a healthy dose of that. Don't be shy. So we got that going. And we're just gonna let it saute for a little bit. When they start to get a little translucent, a little melting, they're gonna melt into the sauce. That's when we'll add our garlic. Just a little bit longer. We'll start adding our fresh garlic. Just about right. Like I said, we're going with a healthy dose of the fresh garlic. Don't be shy. Now we've been sauteing for a little bit. The garlic's getting a little bit soft and letting all the flavors out. Gonna add a nice pinch of crushed red pepper. Because we got some crushed red pepper in our meatballs, and we want to kind of just reinforce our flavors. We'll be doing that the whole day. And a nice pinch of oregano. Or maybe 2 tablespoons. Once we get that going in, just want to toast that off a little bit. Release all those flavors from the heat of the pan. And now right from here, we're going to go ahead and get our tomatoes. Nice crushed tomatoes in the sauce and the juice that we rendered down. And pour right into this. How beautiful does that sound? That is the sound of success. We're going to be eating a beautiful Sunday dinner. So, nice healthy stir. Make sure you get all that stuff down. Scrape down the sides. Onions and the garlic to stick there. They're trying to save themselves. There's no shot. They're done. So, the final step of this sauce is adding some fresh basil. And what I like to do is I don't like to chop the basil and put it in. I like to actually use the whole leaf, the stems of the basil, everything, and just kind of bury it into the sauce. There's something about the stems that people don't use the stems of things. The stems is where all the flavor is, the roots. So I like to just throw it in the sauce, just kind of loosely, not chopped up. This way when someone's eating their sauce later on, they get a nice big chunk of basil. It's not like a bay leaf, it's very satisfying. It's, you know, it's a nice find. It's like treasure hunting. For Italians. So what I do with my meatballs before I put it in the fryer is to get a little extra crust on it. I just take some all-purpose flour and just kind of roll it right in the flour. Nice light dusting. We're not looking for a heavy, bunch of flour here, not to get it doughy. Just a nice dusting. So we'll do that with each of our meatballs before we get them back into the frying pan. Just a nice, very gentle dusting. It's going to create an extra nice crispy crust. So I'm going to take our first meatball and we're going to place it in the oil. And you want to keep your meatballs far enough apart where they don't steam and they have enough room to cook on their own. So you don't want to put too many, you want to crowd the pan. Of course, also, not only will you not get good texture and good fry on it, but if you crowd the pan too much, these meatballs are not hot, so the oil will drop in temperature and then they won't fry right. So you want to be very conscious of that. We're going to do this in a couple of batches and golden brown. Those nice big pine nuts coming out. Wow. Love when you can see a meatball and see all its ingredients, not just inside but popping outside. Kind of know what you're getting, you know? This compound butter that I made earlier. A compound butter is very simple. You just take a couple of sticks of butter, you leave them at room temp, and you're going to add some beautiful ingredients. Kind of reinforce the flavors like I spoke about before. So what I did for my compound butter was I took some Parmigiano Reggiano, some lemon zest. I sauteed some garlic and onion, shallot actually, and added a little bit of oregano. And I just went ahead and molded that into a nice little lot. You take some parchment paper or some clear plastic wrap, make a little wrap, and then seal it in foil and put it in the fridge so it gets solid. And you can use it on anything you want, bread, toast, but we're going to use it today for our sandwiches, so we'll go ahead and grab that. So we got our compound butter, and I love unwrapping this. This is always my favorite. It's like a Christmas gift. It's like you see what you got. I mean, I know what I did, but now let's see what happened with it. We've unwrapped our compound butter. Now we're just going to slice little discs. I've sliced a few already. Just nice shape. And look how great that is. This butter, it amazes me sometimes. That's about enough for 2 sandwiches. Just go ahead and put that aside, and we're going to start building. So, I'm going to open up your bread nice. Go ahead and lay a couple of discs on your sandwich. Nice. Okay. A couple of pieces of some fresh buffalo mozzarella that I sliced already. I'm gonna lay that right on top. Use 3 for this one because it's a nice size. Okay. Just gonna take a meatball, cut it up, and look how juicy that is. Look at the juice in that meatball. Is that amazing? So all the ingredients, the pine nuts, the shallot, the parsley, but look how juicy that thing is. Beautiful. Just gonna cut it up. Probably use 2 meatballs for this one. This is the friend that I like. The other guy, maybe not so much. And we're just gonna layer it on. All sides. We cut it so it's not gonna go anywhere when we close it. We want a nice hearty sandwich. Okay, look how perfect that is. That worked out great. We've layered the sandwich beautifully, and we're going to put it into an oven that we preheated at 350 to bake, so all the flavors melt together. The mozzarella cheese is going to melt, the butter is going to get softened to the bread, and then we're going to fold it together and we're going to eat it. We took our meatball sandwiches out of the, did I say that? The meatball. That's a little tribute to Mr. and Mrs. Joe Manfrey. Sal, you know who you are. This is for them. The OTBers, my favorite zips. So we took our meatball sandwiches out of the oven, and they look fantastic. And now you could add sauce to this to make it a traditional meatball hero, but we got the compound butter, the buffalo mozzarella. I'm gonna sprinkle a little pecorino romano just to finish, because why not? Beautiful cut. Just listen for the sound of this bread, crispy. Fantastic, look at that. Beautiful, look at that sandwich, huh? A little shaved Parmesan. If this isn't Sunday dinner, I can't tell you what Sunday dinner is. This is all I know. So get a nice chunk of meatball, the pasta, one nice bite. That meatball is nice and crispy on the outside, crusty, but not crispy. And it's so moist and succulent on the inside. It is dynamite. I did do that, Jimmy Walker. I did.